Hello everyone, I'm glad to welcome you on our next webinar, and today we're going to speak about Google Tag Manager. Based on our experience working with different projects in different niches. So today the speakers will be me, Andrei, and my colleague Pavel.
Hello everybody.
And we will cover several sections, introducing you the tool, what it does, what is its purpose, and we'll show you some practical examples how to set it up and how to use it for solving business objectives. So let's start. Just give me 1 second to launch the presentation. So, expert tips and techniques for using Google Tag Manager. Just a few words about our company for those who are for the first time with us. So, OWOX specializes on implementing Google Analytics for commerce projects, and currently on the websites of our clients, every week are generated more than 2 million transactions. We develop unique online services based in Google Cloud Platform, and we are currently trusted by more than 12,000 projects all over the world. So all our services work 100% in GCP. We are not an agency, we don't manage advertising budgets, we don't sell any ads. Our main goal is to provide you purely analytic services and correct data to make right decisions on time. And here are some of our clients. So what agenda do we have for today? First, we'll make a short Google Tag Manager overview. We'll show you some advantages and capabilities of the service. Then we'll share some use cases with you, which we have been implementing for our clients and for our own projects. These are JS errors tracking, which you can easily set up with the service, advanced content tracking, and a very popular problem, sending several transactions instead of one, which increases the revenue, and you will have many questions to your data after that. So GTM helps to avoid this. Then we'll share some useful GTM features according to our experience. Not all GTM users know about them, so we'll help you to make a step forward in learning how to use the service. Then we'll share some new GTM features which are interesting from our point of view. For example, approvals and Google Analytics variables. So first, Google Tag Manager overview. First, Google Tag Manager was created as a tool for marketers to easily manage and update website tags. Currently, GTM is widely used by any department that wants to send some data from the website or from the app to some service. It primarily remained marketing services, but there are services for recommendations. I don't know. So you can use it to send data from the platforms to whatever service you want. So by website tags, it means some services and some code snippets that need to be installed on the website or in the app, and accumulate some parameters with its values to be used then for marketing, for analysis, or for some other purpose, for setting some values for dimensions in J and etc. So the main purpose of the service usage is data transfer from the website or from the app to Google Analytics, which helps to track users' online behavior activities. Then it also is widely used for deploying marketing tags. It means that if a visitor entered some particular section of the website, and then you would like to remarket only that particular segment of users who visited particular category or submitted several actions which match some pattern, then you can use data sent via GTM to the service like AdWords, for example, and target those users based on this data. And it is very convenient for setting up custom scripts. This is some non-standard tags that we usually need some non-standard implementation. So it is very easy to manage via the GTM. So it is the same as you would do through some developer tools, but this is something you can configure without any developer help. So as I said, there are maybe 95% of all tasks can be done without any developer resources. As the primary goal of each IT department in the IT company is producing some new functionality. So according to our experience, analytics is usually not in the first place. So you usually have to fight for resources to set up some data to be sent from the website or from the app. So this is really a solution that helps you to make everything just without any external help, just by yourself or with the help of your team, not developers team. So it gives you the ability to make changes fast. So you don't need to wait for several weeks for IT department to start working on your deployment of the tags that you need. You can just do it within several minutes. So Google Tag Manager advantages are the following. So this is a very convenient tool for website tags management, and it has powerful interface, very user-friendly. It has overcome several UX changes. So the version that you see currently is probably the most convenient one. It's really great in terms of data management. So there are several popular tag management solutions on the market. So let me share what advantages we see using particular GTM. First, this is large number of services, tags, and variables available right out of the box. So it means that creating new tag, you can choose a lot of predefined settings that are already inbuilt in GTM. So for each Google Analytics tag, you need the web property tracking ID to specify, so the J knows in which slot on its servers to save data that is being sent from your website. So you need to specify this ID each time. Each time you configure a new tag to J. So in the predefined tag, it is available. Each time you create a new tag, there is a slot for this parameter ID. So, and the same with the other settings that you need to specify each time you create a tag. So you can save a lot of time by just using the already available functionality and the large list of services. Then GTM has rich documentation and many use cases and success stories of the clients who have switched to GTM and saved a lot of time. So you can find a lot of resources on the market, and therefore it has much more specialists and experts, which you can easily find that can help you to teach you how to use the service, or to hire or to outsource your tasks. So it is much more easy to find specialists who, for example, uses GTM comparing to a person who knows how to use Tilium, which is also a popular solution, but a paid one, for corporate clients. There is a convenient preview and debug mode. It helps you to test what you have set up in the service, what configurations did you make for your tags, for your variables, and if there are any errors, you can find them and correct before the tag goes live, and the settings will be implemented and the data will start to be sent in the new format that you have just set up. It has possibility to create versions. So if something does not work correctly, you can always go to the backup version and restore the previous version or the first version or whatever version you have in your account, which is very convenient. Again, this is like IT infrastructure, and the more tags you deploy, the more chances of the error you have. Then Workspaces. It is very convenient for if you have several people working on the same GTM container, or it can also happen that two or several people can work at the same time with the same tag. So now you have the ability to create a separate version, a separate workspace, conduct the changes that you need, and then merge with the main configuration. And if another person implemented the same the changes to the same tag, then you will show the possible conflicts, and you can adapt your new tag to the way your colleague has done before. Then the final and great benefit is free. So it has also a paid version. There are just a few limitations in the free version, but generally, according to our experience, it covers all the business needs. So an important thing to know, several months ago, GTM has changed its code placement. So before, all parts of the code had to be set up in the body tag. Currently, to increase the amount of data and to decrease losses of data that's being sent to the service, GTM team has changed it, and some of the code snippet needs to be placed in the head, and the rest, starting from no script, has to be placed in the body tag. An important thing that, as previously, data layer has to be declared before the first code snippet. So it means it needs to be deployed directly after the open of the head tag. So next is use cases, and I am passing the word to Pavel.
Thank you, Andrei. So the first case that we would like to present you is JavaScript errors tracking. As you know, a significant portion of the client-side functionality of most websites is JavaScript-based, and it's really difficult to check for errors using each version of each major browser. In this case, we would like to decrease the share of exit and increase conversion rate by eliminating known JavaScript errors. To achieve this goal, we should understand what errors occur more frequently depending on page type and browser version, which ones make customers leave the website or stop completing an order, what is the correlation between the number of JavaScript errors and revenue. The solution is monitoring JavaScript errors in Google Analytics using Google Tag Manager. It's really easy to set up JavaScript errors collection using Google Tag Manager. First of all, you need to activate such built-in variables like error message, error URL, and error line. After that, you need to set up Google Analytics event tag to send this data to Google Analytics. And you can use built-in JavaScript errors trigger to fire the tag in GTM. So let's do it together. Open our Google Tag Manager container. To activate built-in variables, switch on Variables tab and activate error message, error URL, and error line. Great. Now we need to create Google Analytics event tag. So check, we need track type event and specify the value of event category like JS errors. You can send error message in event action variable, and you can send error URL and error line in event label variable. At the end, you need to add the trigger. You can use built-in trigger in JavaScript error. So if you need to collect data about JavaScript errors only for particular pages, you can add some additional trigger like page path contains something. Great. So as a result, first of all, you can find collected data in standard Google Analytics event report. Also, you can build custom reports in Google Analytics or set up dashboard in Data Studio for your IT team to monitor JavaScript errors. It can look like this. This is a public report. You can find the link on this report in Google Data Studio gallery or in this presentation. So also you can check the correlation between the number of JavaScript errors and revenue. If the correlation exists, you should pay more attention to JavaScript errors monitoring at your website. And it's good practice to set up team notification by email or in some special channel in Slack. It helps you to get information as fast as possible. In this case, we recommend to use AppScript. First of all, you need to get JavaScript errors from Google Analytics using real-time API or from Google BigQuery using BigQuery REST API. And use Slack API to send notification in Slack or use Gmail API to send notification by email. On this slide, you can see an example of such AppScript. Now we will be talking about advanced content tracking. As usual, in Google Analytics, we collect data about a number of page views. So we understand if the particular page was loaded, but sometimes, especially if you analyze pages with the articles, it's not enough. You need to understand if user actually read content or not. The solution is really simple. You can collect data to understand as users scroll down the page. To set up it using GTM and Google Analytics, first of all, you need to create a custom HTML tag with JavaScript code that will push in data layer scroll depth data. We will share this JavaScript code by email after our presentation. After that, you need to set up Google Analytics event tag to send the data from data layer to Google Analytics, and in this case, you can use custom event trigger to fire the tag. Let's take a look how it works. JavaScript code from custom HTML tag will push data in data layer as soon as page is loaded. Then JavaScript code push data layer again when user scroll particular part of the page. You can customize the JavaScript as you need. For example, you can collect less or more details about page scroll activity. Let's take a look at how it works at real website. So let's check what we sent in Google Analytics. So it was the first event, and it was the second event. 50% of the page was scrolled, and 75%, and it was the bottom of the page. as you can see. Let's get back to our presentation. So at the end, you will get report in Google Analytics where you can compare the number of events for particular page and particular scroll depth. It's much more than just page views. The last case that we'll be talking about is preventing repeat transaction. In this case, we take a closer look at the problem of repeat transaction when using Google Enhanced E-commerce and Google Analytics. In most e-commerce projects, the data on transactions is sent to Google Analytics when a user redirected to the thank you page. However, there may be a situation when users access to the page more than once without redirect. This leads to common problem of duplicate transactions. To prevent repeat transactions, we can use browser first-party cookie and Google Tag Manager. So, to check if a problem exists in your project, you can create a custom report. In the report settings, you should select transactions as a metric and transaction ID as a dimension. The problem looks approximately as following. So, if you have the same problem, this case is for you. First of all, you need to create JavaScript variables in Google Tag Manager with the following JavaScript code. This function will set transaction ID in browser cookie. Now you should specify the name of variable you have created in the tag that will send the transaction into Google Analytics. To read the ID of transaction from the data layer, create a data layer variable. To collect ID of transaction that send the cookie, you need to create a first-party cookie variable. Now you should create a function that will check whether there is a value of current transaction among the cookie values. If such value exists, the function will return the value linked to a trigger that will prevent resending the transaction to Google Analytics. At the end, create a new trigger based on the value block from the transaction tracking variable and set the trigger you have created as a blocking condition for the tag that will send the data on each transaction to Google Analytics. To find a detailed guide, please click on the URL More Details on this slide. So, how it works? User lands on the receipt page. The transaction tag checks if the transaction ID is in the transaction cookie. If the ID in the cookie, the transaction tag doesn't fire. If the ID is not in the cookie, the transaction tag fires, and the transaction ID is added to the cookie in the hit callback of the tag. As a result, you get the solution of the problem of repeat transaction in Google Analytics. For this, you won't need to turn to a developer's team. In our experience, this setup will only take about 30 minutes of your time. It depends on your technical skills. After implementing this algorithm, you will get reliable data on the revenue and the number of orders in Google Analytics. So, that's all about use cases. Now I would like to give Andrew the floor to talk you about useful GTM features and new Google Tag Manager features.
Thanks, Pavel. Now we'll talk about useful GTM features. So first of them we would like to share with you is tag sequencing. So this is the ability to set up whether a particular tag needs to be fired after some previous tag was fired, or vice versa. That it should be fired prior to another tag. It is needed very often when, for example, first tag deploys some values for particular parameters, and the next tag is sending them to the service. For example, if you are using GTM to implement the code snippet of Optimize, which is the A/B testing solution by Google, and The first tag deploys configures the user cookie and decides whether this user will be in the segment A or B, for example. And the next tag is sending this data to J with the list of other parameters. So in case the first tag was not fired, there is no reason to send data in the second tag. So that's why you often need sequences in this way. So you just need to specify you just need to check the box in the category tag sequences. Another very useful feature is Workspaces. I have been talking about this feature a little bit earlier in the beginning of our webinar, and basically it allows you to manage multiple sets of tags, of tag changes by different employees. And it is very convenient if you work with the several companies, with your vendors, that some of them, for example, one company is responsible for analytics setup, and the other company is responsible for setting up remarketing tags. So it could happen that they need to make changes to the same tag, or they need to work with the GTM at the same time, or several of your own employees need to work with the GTM environment in the same time. And there is possibility that changes they make to the tags, to the list of variables, will interfere with each other. So that's why when you create a workspace, it is, let's say, a local environment for each user who works with the system, and he can create any settings that he wants. So it is, first, as I said, it is good for when you work with several vendors. And the next option is when you play some deployment of new functionality, but you know already how you want to track them. So to make it in advance, you can prepare changes to the analytics parameters first, and then you can prepare this workspace, and when the deployment is live, then you can submit these changes, and in this way you will start the collect. So there will not be any gap between the deployment and the start of data collection in the new way, in the new structure. So basically, how to create this workspace. First, there is a default workspace, and at the time when you create a copy, clicking on a plus, then you are able to specify some description. So on which purpose you're going to create this workspace, what changes you're going to make there. Then implement those changes, and then when you have finished, you can you see that the new version of container is available. For example, some other user has made his changes, and you can update the workspace or save it in the end. And there are two ways. For example, if you and another user were editing different tags, then your settings will be just added to the default tag configuration, and no conflicts will appear. But if you were editing the same tag with that person, then you will see a warning on the screen that this tag was edited by another person, and you will see the list of changes where the tag is different from your version. And for example, if you can see that in the previous version there was some, for example, 2 additional dimensions created, and they're not in your configuration. So in this way, you can just implement. So you can just reflect those changes in your version and submit a new workspace in this way. It will help you to keep your GTM container consistent and not like interfere text between each other. So previously you were also able to work with the same GTM container, same text at the same time, but you didn't see what another person did. So some data could be lost, and that's why there were more conflicts than now. So now you have everything to keep your configurations clean and nice. So enjoy. Another great feature of GTM is the possibility to capture and send GTM.unique event ID and send it to Google Analytics after that. So what it means, that every Google Tag Manager event has its unique ID. So it means that on a page where a user conducted several clicks, you can see exactly in which order he did it, because there is often a question. So did our users first go to the category menu, or do they first use the search functionality? So what is the way they're interacting with the website? So this is now it is much more easier to do with this feature. So for every user, GTM ID is calculated independently. So for each user, it starts from the first actions in the session and continues after that. And then you can create a data layer variable. You can capture this event ID from the data layer, from the page, and then you can create a custom dimension with the particular slot and send the value of this ID there. So in the interface of J, you'll be able to build a custom report by pages, for example, or by page types, and you will be able to track what functionality is being clicked in the first place. Another great option is the ability to track the referrer and send its value to J. So this is a built-in variable which contains previous page URL. So this is basically data from the web page parameter document referrer, and so you can see how it looks like in the interface, and so it can capture both the URL of the previous page of your website and also the previous, if you would like to track the efficiency of your landing pages, or if you would like to, vice versa, to understand the nature of its inefficiency. So you would like to track sources that bring you sessions with the highest bounce rate. And in this way, you can not only understand what are the source and medium of your landing pages, of your sessions, but you can also track exactly what page on that resource you get your visits from. So very convenient. We have been using this for many clients, and we're lucky with this tool to improve its efficiency. So now we'll talk about two new features in GTM. As I said, it is constantly updated, and what is like standard feature now was new maybe several months ago. Just recently we got the ability, but only in GTM 360, to request changes and review changes and approval of those changes by another person that has access to do so in the GTM container. This is great when, for example, you have, let's say, 10 employees who work with the GTM container, but one of them is the implementation specialist, and it has biggest expertise in working with GTM tags, but not everything could be done with his hands. So you know also how to set up, for example, marketing tags, but to make sure you didn't destroy any analytics data collection infrastructure, you would like to ask him to review and approve changes that you make. So you just go to the submission configuration, and by clicking on request approval, you request the review of the latest settings that you have made. Another very convenient and time-saving feature is the J configuration variable, which allows to save and configure settings for J tags and use them to the new tags that you create to send data to J again. So how it works? Each time you have to specify the tracking ID of the web property. This is the slot where you send data. Then probably you would do the same settings in terms of subdomain tracking, or you would like to keep the let's say multiple domains tracking, cross-domain tracking. So you would save all these features from one tag to another. So previously you had to do the same job for every new tag, and if you have several dozens tags and you constantly delete or create new ones, then this will 100% save your time. So you just create this, you just configure this J variable once, and then you can use it creating your new tags. So there are several use cases. First of them, you just you just use the J variable that you have created, and all settings they are being used for this new tag. Then, if you would like to create some separate settings, particularly for this new tag, you just check the box "Enable overriding setting" in this tag, and leave the don't select any setting variable. So you just leave it blank. And the third use case is if you would like to keep the most of the settings from your J variable, but you would like to change some fields, then you both choose two options. You select which J variable you would like to use, and you check the box "Enable overriding setting" in this tag. So, and all fields that won't be changed will remain as it is configured in this J variable, and you can change the other fields how is shown on the slide. So very convenient, very time saving. So this is new. This is all for today. I hope that you got to know something new. So before we end, we will be glad to answer all your questions. And you can subscribe to our mailing list on our website, and look forward to the new webinars which we try to release on a monthly basis. So thank you very much, and looking forward to your questions.